So last night, news breaks out of Norman, Oklahoma that's sure to send shockwaves through the Oklahoma Sooners fan base because it leaves longtime wide receiver coach Cale Gundy putting in his resignation. Now, before we start talking about this is a situation where I have no doubt in the coming days, more details will be coming out, granting us greater clarity as to what transpired, but this is also a situation where the reverberations and ramifications still may be largely unknown to the parties involved. So for us to be able to discuss this, we have to first have an understanding of what happened. And in order to do that, we can turn to Cale Gundy's Twitter because he released a statement last night. And per Cale Gundy's statement, this all comes from an event that transpired a week ago during a film study. And during said film study, he'd asked the players present to take notes over the information they were discussing. Somewhere during the course of this film study, Coach Gundy felt like a player was distracted, so he walked up to said player, took the iPad, and read the words that were on the iPad. One of those words was a word that, per Gundy's own statement, was a word he should have never used, and once he did use it, was horrified that he had. Now, multiple players, both past and a few present, have come out in support of Coach Gundy. And if we look on Twitter, Gabe Ikard had talked to several players yesterday and then tweeted that the vast majority of individuals wanted for Coach Gundy to stay in his position. However, we do need to understand that I wasn't there. I don't know the ins and outs of the situation, and I'm certainly not going to speculate when a situation is this serious. But I do want to go back to the tweet Gabe Ikard put out, because he'd talked to several players on the team currently, and he said that the vast majority wanted for Coach Gundy to stay, but the vast majority is not the totality, and obviously someone was not pleased with how things were going because it made its way to administration. And I don't think it would have made its way to administration if the team was trying to work through it, and ultimately it gets out to the open. At the point where administration found out, it sounds like it was taken completely out of the football team's hands, and that Coach Gundy was essentially given a choice: resign or be fired, and he chose the former. He chose to resign. So now Oklahoma's in a situation where they're going to have a lot of eyes on the program. They're going to have a lot of people asking questions, and they have to do this all while trying to get ready for the season in front of them, while having to figure out what they're going to do with the wide receiver coach. But I do want to go back and really focus on that Ikard tweet where he talks about the vast majority, because even if some players weren't comfortable and were unhappy with what happened, there's a major issue there. Don't get me wrong, there's an issue at the point where the word was said, but there is a huge issue if people are uncomfortable, because we do not get to be the arbiter and tell people what's comfortable and uncomfortable for them. We do not get to be the purveyor of what is offensive and what is not offensive. And I want to reference Brent Venables' statements, because Brent Venables talked about how they want to create a culture of mutual respect and a culture of accountability. And that's something that Gundy echoed in his statement. Gundy stated that he wants to be a leader. He's dedicated a large portion of his life to the Oklahoma Sooners and to being a coach and developing not only football players, but boys into men. And in order for him to be a leader, he has to take accountability for his actions. And in doing so, that's why he was resigning, so he could take accountability of his actions. And that's something very similar to what Brent Venables talked about when he released his statement accepting Coach Gundy's resignation, that they want an environment of mutual respect and accountability. Now, like I said to start this, I have no doubt that in coming days, more information will be coming out and we'll learn more about this. So this is something we're going to have to watch going forward, but now we need to kind of talk about what this means for Oklahoma moving forward. And I certainly don't want to minimize the situation. That's not what I'm trying to do here. It's just I wasn't there. I don't have all the information, and I certainly don't want to speculate and talk about stuff that isn't known when I wasn't there and it's not my place to do so. But what does this mean for Oklahoma going forward? And while they're trying to prep for the season in front of them, now they're going to have to be trying to figure out what they're going to do with the wide receiver coach. Offensive analyst LaDamian Washington was promoted from offensive analyst to interim wide receiver coach, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Sooners do at that position moving forward, especially with the season so close to being here. Because it's not just the season, but it's recruiting as well, and that's why I open this with saying the reverberations and ramifications of this still may be unknown to the parties involved, because this is going to be an evolving story. This is going to be something that more information comes out, and because of that, our understanding of the situation will change, as well as the reverberations and the ramifications of this will change. Look, at the end of the day, this is an incredibly unfortunate situation for all parties involved, and a situation that, quite frankly, should have never occurred. But This is still something we're going to have to watch as it unfolds, because I have no doubt, as I've said multiple times, there will be new information coming out about this, and we'll discuss further once more information is coming out. But it is something that we're going to have to watch, because this is just such an unfortunate circumstance and a distraction that the Oklahoma Sooners didn't need. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this, because I can't wait to hear from both Oklahoma fans and general college football fans their opinion on the matter. That's it. See ya.